This Ngara refugee camp in northwestern Tanzania is home to some 60,000 refugees from Burundi. Like refugees the world over, these people are victims of political and ethnic conflicts in their home country. UNHCR provides emergency aid, basic assistance and protection to more than 5.3 million refugees in Africa. 1 in every 4 refugees in the world today is an African. The Ngara camp in Tanzania, like any other refugee camp, provides refugees with basic necessities: shelter, food, clothing, health care and basic education for children. Throughout the 90s, UNHCR had a budget of nearly $1 billion each year. The current annual budget is over $800 million. The funding comes from government agencies as well as from private donors from all over the world. To ensure that resources are not wasted, it is important for UNHCR to determine the accurate size of the refugee population. Refugees are therefore regularly re-registered at the camp, which practically implies a physical recount of the refugees. It is a mammoth task, considering that the average size of a refugee camp in Tanzania is around 40,000 people. The exercise also entails maintaining a census record which records each individual's data, place of origin, occupation and vulnerability. The gathered information is used for planning resources for the following year, enabling UNHCR to tailor assistance according to the specific needs of particular groups, such as single mothers, unaccompanied children, the disabled, elderly or others. The information is also vital for repatriation planning.
The purpose of this exercise is to have a credible figure of the refugee population so that we can do a better planning and also to have the donors' confidence on the numbers of refugees.
In September 2001, UNHCR hired over 3,000 external staff to assist with the re-registration of some 500,000 refugees in Tanzania. UNHCR staff, volunteers from UN agencies and NGO partners and officials of the Tanzanian Home Ministry had to be trained to take part in this procedure. The purpose of this video is to familiarize future participants in the exercise with the registration procedure so that the task can be carried out with a greater efficiency. The first day is the population fixing day. Refugees are notified beforehand about the registration process and are requested to come to the registration booths called chutes along with their entire family and their ration cards. Here they are wristbanded with a plastic wristband. It is important to fasten these bands properly so that they cannot be taken off unless they are cut. Each person is also sprayed with a special ink which is only visible under a UV lamp. This procedure ensures that no one is registered twice. Then the previous year's ration cards are cut at the chute. The number of family members is checked against the family size punched on the ration card. Tokens are used to indicate the imprisoned, hospitalized or disabled family members during the course of the exercise. As several thousands of refugees have to be registered at each chute, the waiting time can often stretch to several hours. Delays are not uncommon as people often come without their old ration cards or leave some of their family members behind. Some refugees may also try to register at a chute not corresponding to their address in the camp. At the end of the first day, the number of wristbands that have been issued indicate the number of refugees who are expected to return on the following day to collect their new ration cards. The number of wristbanded refugees at the Ngara camp was roughly 4% lower than the original population number. On day 2, only the refugees who have been wristbanded on day 1 are allowed to enter the respective registration centers. Their wristbands are cut and a UV lamp is used to screen them to check for the invisible ink. Then, each refugee has to provide relevant information that has to be filled out into his/her biodata form. The completed forms are a basic source of personal information on refugees and they are used for deducing the necessary information for the food distribution list. New ration cards are issued on the basis of the information entered in these biodata forms. volunteers must check if the information filled into the biodata form tallies with the name and number of family members as well as the number of wristbands tied.
Ration card is checked and the physically count has done how many family members are in the same family, and then the wristbands are checked properly. The ink is seen properly, that ink has not been washed previously, and based on this exercise, at the end we issue the ration card.
After the hectic 2-day procedure, the main task of collating the data still lies ahead. The electronic data processing (EDP) involves compiling all the information so that statistical inferences can be drawn from the biodatabase, helping UNHCR officials estimate resource requirements with a greater accuracy. After the data processing, a further decrease of 0.5% in the refugee population in the Ngara camp was recorded. Often discrepancies may be noted even during the first food distribution after the exercise, and the manual food list must then be checked against the electronic database for greater accuracy. The registration procedure at the camp is now completed. The UNHCR and its partners can resume their work with the newly acquired statistical data. Although UNHCR does its best to provide a foolproof database, it is important to verify it periodically. The re-registration exercise is a major undertaking and it requires vast resources. Even a 10% decrease in the refugee population entails a large amount of money saved in terms of expenditure on resources like food, housing, etc. UNHCR is responsible for the use of resources it receives from governments and other private donors, as well as for the services it provides to refugees. Away from their homeland, these refugees manage to survive in an alien country thanks to the work done by UNHCR.